The Council's folly. In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Galactic Council's crystalline chambers hummed with anticipation. The Council, comprised of the most advanced civilizations in known space, had gathered for what they believed would be a routine conquest assessment. Their latest discovery, a small blue planet called Earth, tucked away in an unremarkable solar system in the Milky Way. Supreme Counselor Zewextel, a being of pure energy contained within an iridescent containment field, projected the holographic image of Earth into the center of the chamber. The planet rotated slowly, its oceans glinting like sapphires, its landmasses a patchwork of greens and browns. Around the table, representatives from 1,000 worlds leaned forward, their varied anatomies, from crystalline structures to biomechanical entities, all focused on this singular point of interest. Our preliminary scans indicate a Level 3 civilization, announced Chief Analyst Vernam, his multifaceted eyes reflecting the hologram. They've barely mastered nuclear fission, their space exploration is limited to their own solar system, and their primary energy source remains fossil fuels. A ripple of amusement passed through the assembly. Such primitive technology was almost endearing to beings who had mastered dark energy manipulation and quantum fold travel. The data streamed through the chamber, images of Earth cities, its military capabilities, its political structures. The Council saw a species divided by invisible lines on maps, fighting over resources that, to advanced civilizations, seemed trivially easy to synthesize. They watched humans argue over climate change while possessing the means to address it, wage wars over ideology while sharing the same basic needs, and pollute their only habitable planet while dreaming of reaching the stars. Dr. Kthara, the Council's leading xenoanthropologist, stood apart from her colleagues. Her species, the Cynthians, had evolved beyond physical form, existing as patterns of thought in quantum matrices. Perhaps this gave her a unique perspective on the potential of emerging species. "There's something about them," she interjected, her voice resonating directly in the minds of the assembly. "Their rate of technological advancement is unprecedented. From their first powered flight to landing on their moon took less than 7 decades. The supreme strategist, General Mordecai, dismissed her concerns with a wave of his face-shifted appendage. "All the more reason to act now," he declared. "If we wait, they might develop defenses that would make acquisition more costly." His species, the Vorkath, had built their empire through countless conquests, and their evaluation of potential targets was rarely wrong. The Council's probes continued their silent observation of Earth, gathering data on everything from military installations to social media posts. They watched as humans went about their daily lives, children playing in parks, scientists working in laboratories, artists creating in studios, and politicians debating in marble halls. To most Council members, these scenes only confirmed their assessment of humanity's vulnerability. Yet Dr. Kthara saw patterns that troubled her. She noticed how humans responded to disasters, not just with official emergency services, but with countless acts of spontaneous cooperation. She observed their entertainment, filled with stories of overcoming impossible odds. She studied their history, noting how often the seemingly weaker side had prevailed through innovation and determination. In her private research chamber, Kthara compiled a different kind of report. She documented humanity's ability to adapt rapidly to new challenges, their capacity for unconventional thinking, and their remarkable talent for turning their weaknesses into strengths. She noted how their very divisions had led to multiple approaches to problems, creating a diversity of solutions that more unified species might never have conceived. But when she presented her findings to the Council, her warnings were met with patronizing dismissal. "Your concern for lesser species is admirable, Dr. Supreme Counselor Zewextel said, but we have conquered worlds far more advanced than Earth. Their potential for growth makes them a more valuable acquisition, nothing more." The Council's decision was swift and nearly unanimous. Earth would be annexed into the Galactic Empire, its resources harvested, its population subjugated, and its territory administered by appointed overlords from more advanced worlds. The invasion fleet was authorized, a force of ships that could easily overwhelm Earth's combined military might. As the Council adjourned, satisfied with their efficient handling of yet another primitive world, Dr. Kthara made her way to the celestial archives. She began searching through records of previous conquests, looking for patterns that might support her intuition. What she found sent a chill through her quantum matrix. Every species the Council had successfully conquered had shared one characteristic: they had developed along predictable lines, following the standard progression of technological advancement. But humanity was different. Their development was chaotic, non-linear, driven as much by accident and necessity as by methodical research. In the privacy of her research chamber, Kthara ran simulation after simulation, factoring in variables that the Council's military assessment had ignored: humanity's demonstrated ability to unify in the face of external threats, their history of asymmetric warfare, their capacity for rapid technological adaptation when under pressure, and their strange ability to find inspiration in their own fictional stories of resistance against overwhelming odds. The results were disturbing. While the Council's invasion would likely succeed in its initial stages, the simulations showed increasing uncertainty beyond that point. Human responses became increasingly unpredictable the longer the occupation continued. More worryingly, each failed simulation showed humans learning from their defeats, adapting their strategies, and becoming progressively more dangerous. Kthara prepared a final, urgent report for the Council. But as she moved to submit it, she received the notification: the invasion fleet had already departed. The Council, confident in their superiority and eager to acquire Earth's resources, had accelerated their timeline. As the massive ships of the Galactic Empire moved silently through subspace toward Earth, Kthara could only hope she was wrong. But deep in her quantum consciousness, she knew that the Council had made a grave mistake. They had looked at Earth and seen only what they expected to see: a primitive world ripe for conquest. They had failed to recognize that humanity's greatest strength lay not in their technology or unity, but in their very unpredictability. The invasion fleet's commander, Admiral Vexthor, reviewed the Council's assessment one final time before initiating the fold space jump that would position his forces around Earth. The report promised an easy victory, and his battle computers agreed. Yet something about Dr. Kthara's dissenting notes nagged at him, a warning about humanity's capacity for innovative desperation. He dismissed the thought. After all, what could a primitive species possibly do against the most powerful military force in the known galaxy? As his fleet prepared for the jump to Earth, Admiral Vexthor had no way of knowing that he was about to find out exactly what innovative desperation meant. The first strike. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the control room of the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Chile, her coffee growing cold as she stared at the readings on her screen. The anomalies had started 3 days ago, subtle distortions in the quantum field that shouldn't exist according to current physics models. Her colleagues had dismissed them as equipment malfunctions, but Sarah knew better. She'd spent her career studying quantum field theories, and these readings suggested something impossible: organized manipulation of spacetime on a massive scale. Dr. Chen? Her assistant, Miguel, rushed into the room, tablet in hand. The new data from the Australian array just came in. You need to see this. The numbers confirmed her worst fears. Whatever was causing these distortions was getting closer, and it was big. She reached for her phone to call NASA when every screen in the control room suddenly went dark. Across the globe, similar scenes were playing out. At CERN, particles in the Large Hadron Collider began behaving in ways that defied the laws of physics. In Japan, the Kamioka Observatory detected neutrino patterns that made their most advanced computers crash. And in orbit, astronauts aboard the International Space Station reported strange geometric distortions in the Earth's magnetic field. Admiral James Harrison stood before the United Nations Security Council, his expression grave. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to share has been independently confirmed by every major space agency and military installation on Earth. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. We are about to be invaded by an extraterrestrial force. The chamber erupted in chaos, but Harrison's voice cut through the noise. 12 hours ago, our quantum detection arrays began picking up massive spatial distortions approaching Earth. Based on their configuration and energy signatures, we're looking at a fleet of ships unlike anything we've ever imagined. They're not trying to hide, they don't think they need to. In the following hours, governments worldwide initiated emergency protocols that had existed only in theoretical documents. Military forces were mobilized, but everyone knew their conventional weapons would be useless against an enemy capable of manipulating the fabric of space itself. Yet humanity had one advantage the Galactic Council hadn't counted on: they had been preparing for this moment for over a century, not with weapons, but with imagination. Generations of science fiction had explored every possible scenario of alien invasion, and while many of these stories were fantastic, they had seeded humanity's collective consciousness with something powerful: the belief that there was always a way to fight back. Dr. Chen's team made the first breakthrough. Those quantum distortions weren't just signs of the approaching fleet, they were weaknesses in the alien ship's defenses. Their technology relies on maintaining stable quantum fields, she explained to military leaders worldwide via secure video conference. But our particle accelerators might be able to disrupt those fields if we can synchronize them correctly. Around the world, scientific facilities began repurposing their equipment. CERN's Large Hadron Collider, originally built to study particle physics, was modified to generate targeted quantum disruptions. Similar conversions were happening at facilities in China, Russia, and Japan. It wasn't a weapon in any traditional sense, but it might give Earth a fighting chance. The invasion began exactly as the Council had planned. Their ships emerged from fold space in perfect formation around Earth, their energy shields creating beautiful auroras visible even in daylight. Admiral Vexthor's voice boomed across every communication device on the planet, transmitted in all human languages simultaneously. People of Earth, your planet is now under the protection and control of the Galactic Council. Resist, and you will be eliminated. Cooperate, and you will be permitted to serve the Empire. The response came not in words, but in action. As the alien ships moved to take up strategic positions around the planet, they encountered something unexpected. The quantum fields they relied on for everything from propulsion to weapons began fluctuating wildly. Earth's particle accelerators, now linked in a global network, were creating a quantum interference pattern that turned the planet's entire magnetosphere into a weapon. Vexthor watched in disbelief as his ship's systems began failing. "Impossible," he muttered. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. They couldn't possibly understand quantum field manipulation. But they didn't need to fully understand it. They just needed to disrupt it, and humanity's greatest scientific instruments, combined with their planet's natural magnetic field, were doing exactly that." The Council's initial attack faltered, but they were far from defeated. As their ships retreated to stable orbit, they began adapting their quantum fields to resist the disruption. However, this first defensive success had given humanity something crucial: time, and proof that they could hurt their invaders. In secure facilities around the world, researchers began analyzing the vast amount of data collected during the brief engagement. Every fluctuation in the alien ship's fields, every adjustment they made, revealed more about how their technology worked. Humanity had spent centuries developing tools to study the universe. Now they were turning those same instruments into ways to understand their enemy. Meanwhile, in her quantum matrix, Dr. Kthara watched the initial reports from Earth with a mixture of vindication and concern. The humans had done exactly what her simulations had predicted: they had found an unexpected way to fight back. But she knew this was only the beginning. The Council would adapt, and their next attack would be more difficult to counter. What troubled her most was what she was seeing in the data streams from Earth. Humans weren't just fighting back, they were learning at an astronomical rate. Their scientific communities, normally competitive and secretive, were sharing data and ideas freely. Social media platforms had become impromptu think tanks, where professional scientists and amateur enthusiasts alike shared theories and suggestions. Some were nonsense, but others showed surprising insight into the weaknesses of the Council's technology. In orbit, Admiral Vexthor prepared for his second attack. His ships had adjusted their quantum fields, and this time Earth's crude interference wouldn't work. But as he studied the readings from the first engagement, he felt a new sensation: doubt. These humans hadn't responded like any species the Council had encountered before. They hadn't tried to fight ship to ship, hadn't attempted diplomatic negotiations, hadn't surrendered in fear. Instead, they had immediately found a way to attack the very foundations of the Council's technological superiority. As his fleet regrouped, Vexthor received a priority transmission from the Council. They were sending reinforcements, a massive second wave of ships equipped with modified quantum field generators. The Council was taking no chances. Earth would be subdued with overwhelming force. But on the blue planet below, humanity was far from idle. In underground laboratories and hidden facilities, scientists and engineers worked frantically to develop new weapons based on their observations of alien technology. In the Nevada desert, Area 51 had become a real center for reverse engineering, not of crashed UFOs, but of the quantum field data collected during the first attack. Dr. Chen hadn't slept in days, but she couldn't stop now. Her team had discovered something in the pattern of the alien ship's quantum field adjustments, a vulnerability that might be even more significant than the first. As she reviewed the data one more time, a smile crossed her exhausted face. The Council thought they were dealing with primitive beings who would be overwhelmed by superior technology. Instead, they had awakened humanity's greatest weapon, their relentless determination to survive, adapt, and overcome. The second wave of the invasion was approaching, but Earth would be ready. Humanity had tasted victory, however small, and they had no intention of stopping there. The real war was about to begin, and neither side could predict how it would end. Quantum leap. The captured alien scout ship hung suspended in the massive underground facility beneath the Himalayan mountains, its sleek hull reflecting the harsh laboratory lights. Dr. Chen walked around it slowly, her tablet displaying real-time quantum field readings. 3 weeks had passed since Earth's first defensive victory, and humanity had not wasted a single minute. The quantum field matrix is unlike anything we theorized, she explained to the international team of scientists gathered around her. It's not just their propulsion system, it's the foundation of all their technology. They've found a way to manipulate the underlying fabric of reality itself. In the corner, Dr. Amit Patel, formerly India's leading expert in quantum computing, now head of the reverse engineering division, pulled up a holographic display. We've identified 3 major breakthroughs in the past week alone. Their quantum field technology doesn't just bend spacetime, it creates localized pockets of altered physical laws. That's how their weapons work. They temporarily changed the fundamental constants of nature within their target area. The implications were staggering. The Council's technological advantage wasn't just a matter of more advanced engineering, they had mastered the ability to rewrite physics itself within limited spaces. But this discovery had also revealed their greatest weakness: they relied entirely on this one fundamental technology. Around the world, similar research facilities had been established in abandoned mines, mountain bunkers, and underwater bases. The Council's second wave was coming, but humanity was preparing in ways the aliens had never anticipated. In orbit, the International Space Station had been transformed into a quantum field monitoring platform. Commander Helen Rodriguez watched the incoming data with growing excitement. "The quantum distortions are getting stronger," she reported to Mission Control. "The second wave is bigger than we anticipated, at least 3 times the size of the first fleet." But Earth was ready. The previous 3 weeks had seen the greatest technological advancement in human history. Scientists who had once competed for grants and recognition now worked together seamlessly, sharing discoveries and building upon each other's breakthroughs. The Internet had become a global brain, with quantum physicists collaborating with garage inventors, teenage programming prodigies working alongside veteran engineers. Dr. Chen's team had made perhaps the most crucial breakthrough. They had discovered that the quantum fields generated by the alien ships created subtle ripples in reality, ripples that could be detected and, more importantly, predicted. Earth's defensive systems were no longer just reactive, they could anticipate ere the alien ships would appear. In his command ship, Admiral Vexthor reviewed the invasion plans with growing unease. The Council's reinforcements had arrived, bringing with them new weapons designed specifically to counter Earth's quantum interference. But something felt wrong. The quantum field readings from the planet had changed, become more sophisticated. It was as if... Admiral. His sensor officer's voice carried an edge of panic. We're detecting quantum field signatures from the planet's surface, signatures that match our own technology. Impossible. Yet the readings were clear. Somehow, in just 3 weeks, humans had begun to grasp and replicate the fundamental principles of Council technology. The verification came moments later when the first human-made quantum field bubble appeared around their captured scout ship, now rising from its hidden base in the Himalayas. Dr. Chen stood at the controls, her hands steady despite the historic magnitude of the moment. The modified scout ship, piloted by a joint team of test pilots and quantum physicists, rose smoothly into the atmosphere. Its hybrid systems, part human, part alien, performed even better than their simulations had predicted. But this was just the beginning. Across the planet, other breakthroughs were occurring hourly. In Japan, researchers had developed quantum field generators that could create temporary safe zones where alien weapons would be ineffective. European scientists had found ways to use the quantum technology to enhance existing human weapons, making them capable of penetrating alien shields. Perhaps most significantly, a team of teenagers in Lagos had discovered how to use quantum fields to enhance human cognition itself. Their breakthrough, initially shared on social media and quickly verified by professional researchers, led to the development of quantum interface helmets that allowed human minds to process information at unprecedented speeds. The Council's second wave struck with overwhelming force, their weapons designed to overcome Earth's previous defenses. But humanity had moved beyond those defenses. Each alien tactic was met with a countermeasure that shouldn't have been possible for a primitive species to develop so quickly. Dr. Kthara, watching from her quantum matrix in the Council chambers, realized with growing amazement that her simulations had underestimated humanity's potential for adaptation. They weren't just copying Council technology, they were innovating, finding applications that the Council had never considered. The battle raged across Earth's atmosphere, but it was unlike anything in the Council's military history. Human fighters, enhanced with hybrid quantum technology, moved in ways that defied traditional space combat doctrine. Ground-based quantum field generators created corridors of altered spacetime, trapping alien ships in bubbles where their advanced technology worked against them. But the Council's forces were vast, and despite humanity's incredible advances, the sheer number of alien ships began to tell. One by one, Earth's major cities came under attack. The quantum shields protecting them held, but the strain on the generators was immense. In her underground command center, Dr. Chen worked frantically to solve the power consumption problem. The quantum field technology required enormous amounts of energy that Earth's infrastructure wasn't designed to provide. But as she studied the power readings, she noticed something strange. The quantum fields weren't just consuming energy, they were creating distortions in the fabric of spacetime itself. That's when she had her second breakthrough. "We've been thinking about this wrong," she announced to her team. "We don't need to generate more power, we need to harvest it from the quantum fields themselves. The aliens don't use power plants, they use the energy of reality itself." This revelation changed everything. Within hours, the first quantum energy harvester was operational, providing virtually unlimited power to Earth's defenses. But it also revealed something that even the Council didn't know: their fundamental technology, used on a large enough scale, was causing subtle but cumulative damage to the underlying structure of space-time. As the battle for Earth entered its second day, both sides were forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. The Council's mighty technology, in the hands of humanity's innovative desperation, had become something new and potentially dangerous. The very fabric of reality around Earth was beginning to show signs of stress. Admiral Vexthor saw the readings with growing horror. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were pushing Council technology to its limits, using it in ways that threatened the stability of spacetime itself. He had to make a decision: continue the attack and risk catastrophic damage to reality itself, or withdraw and face the Council's wrath. But before he could decide, Dr. Chen's team made their final breakthrough. They had found a way to not just manipulate quantum fields, but to restructure them entirely. Earth was about to demonstrate that copying alien technology was just the first step. Innovation was about to take a quantum leap that would change the galaxy forever. As the sun set on the second day of the renewed invasion, humanity prepared to unveil its greatest achievement, a completely new form of quantum technology that even the Council had never imagined. The tide of battle was about to turn, but the cost of victory might be higher than either side had anticipated. Reality's edge. The quantum monitoring station beneath Geneva registered the first reality fracture at 3:47 a.m. local time. It appeared as a hair-thin crack in the fabric of space-time, barely visible to the most sensitive instruments. Dr. Chen, conferencing in from her Himalayan base, recognized its significance immediately. "The quantum fields are becoming unstable," she announced to the Global Defense Council. "Every time we or the Council's forces use this technology, we're putting more strain on local space-time. But this gives us an advantage they don't expect. We're willing to push harder than they are." Admiral Harrison, his hologram flickering slightly in the quantum interference, leaned forward. "You're suggesting we weaponize the instability itself?" "Exactly," Chen replied. "The Council's forces are conservative in their use of quantum technology because they understand its risks. But we've already developed applications they never dared to try. If we push even further, they'll have to either retreat or risk destroying the very laws of physics they rely on." It was a desperate strategy, but humanity had learned to excel at desperate strategies. The past week had seen Earth's technology advance by centuries, perhaps millennia, but not in the linear way the Council had expected. Humans hadn't simply copied alien technology, they had reimagined it, combined it with their own innovations, and pushed it in directions the Council had never considered. In orbit, Commander Rodriguez watched from the enhanced International Space Station as the first phase of Earth's counteroffensive began. The quantum harvesters, now networked across the planet, began pulling energy directly from the fabric of reality. The power buildup was visible as a ghostly aurora that enveloped the entire planet. Admiral Vexthor, watching from his flagship, felt his first real moment of fear. The humans were doing something his sensors couldn't even categorize. The quantum field readings were off the scale, suggesting energy manipulations that should have been impossible for any civilization, let alone one that had just discovered the technology. The counterattack began not with weapons, but with a fundamental alteration of Earth's local spacetime. Dr. Chen's team had discovered that by creating carefully controlled reality fractures, they could establish zones where the Council's technology simply couldn't function. These dead zones began expanding outward from Earth, forcing the alien fleet to retreat or risk their ships becoming lifeless hulks. But the Council had not become the dominant force in the galaxy by giving up easily. Their second wave split into smaller groups, each adopting different quantum frequencies to try to penetrate Earth's defenses. The space around Earth became a battlefield unlike any in history, with both sides manipulating the fundamental forces of nature itself. Dr. Kthara, monitoring from the Council chambers, realized with growing alarm that her worst fears had been exceeded. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were forcing the evolution of quantum field technology itself. Each council tactic was met with an innovation that shouldn't have been possible, each retreat spawned new human advances. In the Sahara Desert, a team led by Dr. Aisha Muhammad had created something unprecedented, a quantum field manipulator that could copy and paste sections of spacetime itself. When alien ships approached, they found themselves suddenly relocated to positions of Earth's choosing, their carefully planned formations shattered. The Brazilian Quantum Research Center, under Dr. Paulo Santos, had developed what they called reality loops, localized time distortions that trapped alien ships in moments of their own past, forcing them to experience the same defeats over and over until they withdrew. But these victories came at a terrible cost. The reality fractures were spreading, multiplying faster than either side had anticipated. The very foundations of spacetime were beginning to show signs of catastrophic instability. In her quantum matrix, Dr. Kthara made a devastating calculation: if the battle continued at its current intensity, the local region of space would suffer irreversible damage within hours. The laws of physics themselves would begin to break down, creating a cascade effect that could threaten the entire galaxy. Admiral Vexthor received the warning too late. His fleet had just launched its most powerful attack yet, using concentrated quantum fields to try to overwhelm Earth's defenses. But the humans, monitoring the reality fractures, had anticipated this move. Dr. Chen's voice, transmitted across all frequencies, carried both warning and triumph: your weapons depend on stable spacetime. Ours do not. We've learned to surf the chaos you're so afraid of. Withdraw now, or we'll tear reality itself apart. We will survive the chaos, will you? It wasn't a bluff. In the 3 hours since detecting the first reality fracture, humanity had already developed technologies to exist in regions of unstable spacetime. The quantum interface helmets had evolved into full reality survival suits. Earth's major cities were now protected by fields that could maintain stable spacetime even if the surrounding region collapsed. The Council's forces faced an impossible choice: retreat from what should have been an easy conquest, or risk continuing a battle that threatened to unravel the very fabric of existence. But even as Admiral Vexthor prepared to give the withdrawal order, something unexpected happened. The reality fractures, now visible to the naked eye as shimmering cracks in space, began moving in strange patterns. Dr. Chen's instruments detected something that should have been impossible: the fractures were forming networks, creating new structures in the quantum foam of spacetime itself. It's evolving, she whispered, watching her readings with a mixture of horror and fascination. The quantum fields aren't just breaking reality, they're rebuilding it into something new. The space around Earth had become a cosmic laboratory where the laws of physics were being rewritten in real time. Humanity's desperate innovations had pushed quantum field technology beyond its intended limits, creating something that even the Council's most advanced scientists had never imagined possible. Admiral Vexthor watched in astonishment as his fleet's quantum field generators began responding to frequencies they had never been designed to detect. The humans hadn't just mastered Council technology, they had forced it to evolve into something entirely new. As the reality fractures continued to spread and interconnect, both sides realized that the conflict had moved beyond a simple invasion. They were witnessing the birth of a new understanding of the universe itself, driven by humanity's relentless push to survive. The final phase of Earth's defense was about to begin, but it would be unlike anything either side had planned. The very nature of reality was changing, and with it, the definition of victory itself. The question was no longer who would win the war, but whether anyone could control what humanity's quantum innovations had unleashed. The New Dawn. The network of reality fractures surrounding Earth had become visible from the surface, a breathtaking web of luminescent cracks in the sky that pulsed with impossible colors. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Himalayan Command Center, watching as her quantum monitors displayed something unprecedented. The fractures weren't just spreading anymore, they were organizing themselves into complex geometric patterns that defied conventional physics. It's like watching evolution in fast forward, Dr. Patel observed, his quantum interface helmet processing data faster than any unaugmented human mind could manage. The quantum fields aren't just changing reality, they're creating new rules for how reality works. In orbit, Admiral Vexthor's fleet hung motionless, their quantum field generators detecting patterns that threatened to overwhelm their safety protocols. The Council's technology, designed to manipulate spacetime within carefully controlled parameters, was responding to frequencies that shouldn't exist. Dr. Kthara, her quantum matrix now directly linked to the monitoring systems around Earth, made a stunning realization. The humans haven't just advanced our technology, she communicated urgently to the Council. They've forced it to evolve beyond our understanding. The reality fractures, they're becoming a new fundamental force of nature. The Council chambers erupted in chaos as the implications became clear. Humanity's desperate innovations had pushed quantum field manipulation past a critical threshold. They weren't just risking the destruction of spacetime, they were accidentally creating a new layer of physical laws. On Earth, Dr. Chen's team detected the first sign of what they would later call quantum consciousness. The reality fractures, now forming intricate lattices around the planet, began responding to human thoughts and intentions. The quantum interface helmets, designed to help humans process complex data, had become two-way conduits. The fractures, Chen announced to the Global Defense Council, they're not just cracks in reality. They're pathways to something else. Something new. And we can control them. Commander Rodriguez, watching from the Enhanced International Space Station, saw it first. The quantum lattice surrounding Earth was beginning to pulse in sync with human brainwave patterns. Humanity's collective consciousness, augmented by their quantum interface technology, was reshaping the very structure of spacetime. Admiral Vexthor received the impossible readings from his sensors. The humans weren't just surviving in the chaos of fractured reality, they were thriving in it, using it, becoming one with it. His fleet's weapons, dependent on predictable quantum field behaviors, were now worse than useless. They were dangerous to their own ships. But the situation was spiraling beyond either side's control. The quantum lattice was expanding exponentially, its patterns becoming more complex with each passing moment. Dr. Chen's instruments detected something that made her blood run cold. The new quantum structures were beginning to affect the fundamental constants of the universe itself. If this continues, she warned, it won't just change local spacetime. It will cascade through the entire galaxy, possibly the universe. We're not just rewriting the laws of physics anymore, we're creating new ones. In her quantum matrix, Dr. Kthara made the connection that would change everything. The humans hadn't just discovered a new way to use quantum fields, they had stumbled upon the next stage of cosmic evolution. The Council's technology, refined over millennia, had been the catalyst, but humanity's desperate creativity had pushed it past a threshold no other species had dared to approach. The reality fractures were now visible across half the galaxy, a network of luminescent lines connecting star systems in patterns that resembled neural networks. The Council's greatest fear had come true, but not in the way they had expected. Humanity hadn't destroyed reality, they had awakened it. Dr. Chen, her mind linked to the quantum lattice through her interface helmet, felt it first. The fractures weren't just responses to human consciousness anymore, they had developed their own form of awareness. The universe itself was waking up. Admiral Vexthor, watching his fleet's quantum field generators synchronize with the new patterns without any input from his crew, made the decision that would echo through history. He opened a channel to Earth, not to demand surrender, but to offer something unprecedented: collaboration. Your species, he transmitted, has done something we thought impossible. You haven't just advanced our technology, you've transformed it into something entirely new. The Council's mission was to find and assimilate advanced civilizations. Instead, we found one that would advance beyond us. The message reached Earth just as Dr. Chen and her team made their final breakthrough. The quantum lattice wasn't just a new phenomenon, it was a bridge between the physical and the quantum realm, a way for conscious beings to directly interact with the fundamental forces of the universe. The Council, faced with evidence they couldn't ignore, called an emergency session. Dr. Kthara presented her findings: humanity's unique combination of desperation, creativity, and willingness to push boundaries had accidentally unlocked the next stage of universal evolution. The quantum fields, which the Council had seen as mere tools, were actually the universe's dormant nervous system, and humanity had just switched it on. What followed was unlike anything either civilization had imagined. The war ended not with surrender or victory, but with transcendence. The quantum lattice continued to spread, connecting consciousness across the galaxy, breaking down the barriers between species, technology, and reality itself. Earth became the center of a new age of discovery. The combined knowledge of humanity in the Council, filtered through the lens of this new quantum consciousness, led to innovations that transformed both civilizations. The reality fractures, once seen as a catastrophic breakdown of physics, became the foundation of a new understanding of the universe, one where consciousness and reality were recognized as two aspects of the same fundamental force. Dr. Chen, standing in the new Quantum Integration Center built in cooperation between Earth and Council scientists, often reflected on how close they had come to mutual destruction. Humanity's desperate gamble had nearly torn reality apart, but in doing so, they had discovered something far more valuable than victory: they had found a way to evolve beyond the limitations of their physical existence. The galactic community, transformed by this new understanding, abandoned its old hierarchies. The Council was reformed, not as a conquering force, but as a collaborative body dedicated to exploring the vast potential of quantum consciousness. Earth, once targeted for conquest, became a beacon of innovation, teaching other civilizations how to interface with the quantum lattice. Admiral Vexthor, now serving as a bridge between the old Council and the new order, found himself learning from the species he had once come to conquer. The humans' capacity for adaptation, their willingness to embrace chaos and uncertainty, had turned out to be not a weakness, but the key to unlocking the universe's greatest secrets. And Dr. Kthara, her quantum matrix now fully integrated with the new consciousness, realized that her initial warning to the Council had been more prophetic than she knew. Humanity hadn't just resisted conquest, they had transformed the very nature of existence, proving that the greatest power in the universe wasn't technological superiority, but the ability to imagine and create something entirely new. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, connected by the shimmering threads of the quantum lattice, a visible reminder that consciousness and reality were no longer separate concepts. The invasion that had threatened to end humanity had instead launched them and their would-be conquerors into a new era of existence, where the boundaries between mind and matter, between individual and universal consciousness, had dissolved into something far more magnificent than either side had ever dreamed possible. The universe was awake, and it was watching, learning, evolving. And humanity, the species that had dared to push beyond the known limits of reality, was leading the way into this new dawn of consciousness and creation.